All right. Well, we have got no word on new executive orders restricting refugees from the terror hotspots today. One, though, possibly coming later this week. We believe that. But former Trump campaign foreign policy advisor Walid Phares says today's directive will help protect us from terror. Walid, so how will today's orders, because it seems to be focused on the southern border of the United States, how will that help with regards to the fight to terror on a global scale, in your opinion?
Well, first of all, we need to understand what these orders are now and those coming soon. What are they about? We have three levels. At the top level, there is an attempt by the administration to isolate the terrorist element. That is a different battle. It needs executive orders, and it also needs counterterrorism. Then below them, a larger pool of criminal legal, in this sense, and mostly coming from land places. That would be from Mexico across the border. And there is a strategy of increasing the number of ICE troops or units. And thirdly, you have the solution to the entire problem of illegal immigrants, which is political, constitutional, and legal. But the executive orders to come are about really those potential terrorists coming from countries overseas. And that's a different and complicated issue. Okay,
but they could, I guess, in theory, come through the southern border. They could travel up through Central America. We've seen some instances, it's very rare, but instances of ISIS fighters coming through, like Central America, for instance, I know. And we also had a U.S. official say that ISIS has people in place to conduct steady attacks. And he notes this, and I think this is interesting. We think that transnational terrorist attacks in the near term will probably remain steady. The group has been able to build a robust and redundant apparatus for conducting transnational terrorist attacks. Is it true that there are terrorists now plotting to strike, and that maybe that they're already here within our borders?
Yes, all reporting, all rational measurement of the statements made by Al-Qaeda, by ISIS, and by other groups around the world all indicate the intention that they want to strike. And if you go backward and count the many dozens of either attempts to attack us or the bloody ones in California, in Florida, in Boston, elsewhere. So the system that the jihadists have established within the United States is still functioning. What we're trying to do is to dismantle that network on the one hand and making sure it doesn't get supplies from the outside, meaning other jihadists would join them and also strike as well.
You know, it's interesting because President Obama at the time, when we had these, especially with San Bernardino, said, well, these are isolated individuals that were just, you know, kind of homegrown terrorists that were weak. But I'm wondering if you think the threat is higher now than it was last year.
Well, quickly, these were not, in my view, isolated incidents because they had the same ideology, made the same statements. And, of course, tactically, they were different. One was in California, one was in Florida. But, yes, indeed, there is now an attempt by these terror forces outside the United States to strike maybe deeper in the United States because they know that this administration is changing policy. And eventually, even overseas, they're going to feel the change of U.S. policy, and therefore they want to deter us by doing precisely this, attacking us at home.
You know, Wally, we just got a new nominee for National Security Advisor, a new pick from President Trump just yesterday. So I'm curious, with all the upheaval that the Trump administration has been dealing with, you know, the cabinet isn't in place, etc., do you think that the Trump administration is ready to fight a potential domestic attack?
I think we are. I mean, our agencies are not really affected by a few appointees in the White House or within the Beltway. I mean, across the land, our agencies are ready to that tactical fight with the terrorists. What is important now is to think of long-term strategies that would eliminate the penetration of the United States or lessen that penetration, so we're not going to have to fight a very long war. All efforts are to make sure that the war is going to go into a much shorter wave.
Walid Phares, thank you for your perspective tonight.
Thank you.